What's up everyone, my name is MarkHawk, and today we're doing a slightly more in-depth look at the GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition versus last year's Hero 3 Standard Silver Edition. Now, right off the bat, you're going to notice both of these cameras are in a wide-angle mode, and that the silver has a much warmer tint. This year's model has definitely pulled back a little bit, I think a little too much in my personal taste, but it really comes down to preference in which you prefer. So let's go full screen on the Hero 3 Plus Silver. You can see with this new color profile, the sky holds up really nice, the grass looks green, it doesn't look muddy, it looks kind of sharp. It's a little too cool in my opinion. I would like to see it a tad bit warmer, but it's a lot better than last year's silver, which was way too warm and looks way too muddy. So if we look at last year's Hero 3 Silver, it's going to feel a little muggy, a little smoggy. It doesn't feel as clean, but the image itself looks pretty nice. We can adjust the color if we had it set to ProTunes, but it really comes down to preference which color profile you like more. Set up this shot initially to sort of show the depth of field because there was a lot of concerns with the Hero 3 Plus Black having a very shallow depth of field compared to last year's model. Here it holds up fairly well, but later we're going to go into something that shows it off a little bit better. And you're going to see it kind of shift to the right and down a little bit. Both cameras are mounted side by side on the same level, but with the Hero 3 Plus Silver, everything sort of seems to be pushed a little bit to the left and up, and maybe a little bit pushed in. Now this shot's good because we have a large value of shadows. We have very contrast and harsh shadows, we have very light shadows, and then in the background we pretty much have no shadows at all. When it comes to shots like this, I keep leaning more towards the Hero 3 Silver Edition's form of color correction, as opposed to this year's model of the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. I just feel by default the Hero 3 Silver has more personality and more character, but we could always color correct the Hero 3 Plus Silver because it's such a neutral color tone to look more like the Hero 3 Silver. Even though these two cameras are level next to one another, you're going to see when we switch the camera, you're going to have that slight pullback and that slight rotation. This is the shot we're using to showcase the depth of field. You're going to notice on the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition, everything that's closer to the camera is way sharper than everything on the Hero 3 Silver Edition. Everything on the Hero 3 side is going to stay pretty consistent focus-wise, but if we look at the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition, as we go down the slope, things start to get out of focus pretty fast. It's a pretty significant difference between the two cameras, and definitely something you should consider depending on what your filming style is like or what you're going to be using the camera for. So I'm shooting this shot around golden hour and I kind of fell in love with it. I really love how the grass looks on the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. It's so crisp when it's up close to the camera. The Hero 3 though, that color profile again is just giving that shot a lot of character. But I could always go with the Hero 3 Plus Silver and then just color grade it later. However, with the Hero 3 Silver, I could film this shot in ProTunes, which is what we're going to do next, and then give it my own color grade and I'll have more information. With the camera this low to the ground, it's really showing off that ×2 sharpness that you're only going to get with this year's Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. Now before we go into ProTunes, we're going to take one last look at this with the default color profile. So as we switch over to ProTunes, you're going to notice it looks a lot more washed out, but this is intentional. What this allows us to do is it allows us to play with the colors a lot more because now we have a lot more information in our blacks. There's a bigger range to play with, as opposed to crunching it all down and then trying to mess around with the few shades of black we have. Now we have a much larger shade of blacks along with all these other colors. So now that I have more range to play with, I can go ahead and create my own color profile, which is what I've done here. Playing with some pretty standard color tools inside Adobe Premiere, I've created a much more appealing image to me. I've made it a little bit warmer, not as warm as the default color profile, but a little warmer to meet my needs. I've also boosted that light a little bit. We still have some of that sky in there. I think it looks pretty nice, but again, this is just 5 minutes of me goofing around. Now, zooming in a little bit so you can see some of the detail changes, we're going to switch between the Hero3 Plus Silver Edition and the ProTune's color-corrected version that I've done. Now, even with ProTunes enabled, we're not going to get that level of detail in the grass that we're getting in the Hero3 Plus Silver Edition compared to the Hero3 Silver Edition. Now, it might look like the Hero3 Plus Silver Edition is much crisper in the background, but we've just crunched the information down so much that there's a lot of sharp edges. There's definitely a lot more detail to work with in the Hero3 Silver Edition from last year. Now, we're going to zoom in on the grass here about 200%. You can kind of see how much of a difference you're getting really easily. If you go towards the background though, you don't see the difference as easily as you do in the foreground, but by now you should have a good understanding of how the depth of field works in these two cameras. So right now we're just going to cycle through the different field of view options real fast. The only real difference I noticed compared to last year's model was that the Silver Plus has a much narrower field of view in wide and medium than compared to the Silver, but when it comes to narrow picks up a little more on the sides. So in this next section, the audio is going to spike up a little bit. Don't be startled. I thought it was really important that we start moving this camera around, see these two cameras side by side, see what they're doing differently in motion. So I'm just walking down a path here. Looking down the path, everything looks pretty okay. As we look over to the left, the colors are a little washed out on the Hero3 Plus, but nothing we can't work with. Again, the Hero3 has a little more personality to it, but it's a little still too warm for me. But in the woods, I definitely just love how that looks. It really gives it that nice fall-autumn look. Both cameras seem to be handling the lens flare just fine. How the light interacts going around the leaves and stuff like that. Both cameras seem to be doing a pretty good job. Really like how the light wrap looks on these things. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up here. If you're interested in seeing the GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition versus last year's GoPro Hero 3 Black, I'm working on that right now. Got a little delayed in making that, but we're also going to have a GoPro Hero 3 Black versus Sony HDR ASV30 or 30V. Name's kind of confusing, but basically which is the best low-light camera. That's coming soon too. If you're also looking for a video to watch now, you can check out our Hero 3 Black Plus Edition versus Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. These pluses are really kind of confusing, but either way, it's both new GoPros side by side with a lot of details. Check it out in the bottom link. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and yeah, take care everyone.